the problem that I was trying to solve when I asked for Jeffrey's help was was creating and making sustainable a for-profit arm to a nonprofit that I had created in 2015. So specifically, I had created an organization called The Item, which was a nonprofit organization to help minority adults get into the tech sector. And we initially focused on socializing technology as an option to adults. And then we moved on to education and placing people into tech jobs. But one angle that became evident as we're going along was the need to help out minority entrepreneurs, specifically minority tech entrepreneurs that were looking for either advice or financing. And so as part of The Item, we thought that it was a great idea to create a for-profit arm specifically to address the entrepreneur need. And I solicited Jeffrey's help to, think about what the structure needed to be and specifically how to create the processes and systems around which we were going to evaluate potential clients, either ones that needed our advisory aspects or one who needed our, fundraising network, so to speak. And of a partnership of 8, Jeffrey, without a doubt, separated himself in terms of the operational rigor that we needed to have, the clear targets that we needed to set for ourselves in order to get there, and the criteria with which we use to evaluate the portfolio clients that we were assembling. And so the frustration that we had, I think, in identifying the Item Ventures, which is the for-profit arm, a part of the frustration was around creating a solution that fit our potential audience, because a lot of times they could not afford our services. The other was creating some kind of system to make sure that all of the partners were on the same table in terms of how to evaluate clients. And then the final one is the most important one. How were we going to get our portfolio clients in front of potential investors? And what was immediately different about working with Jeffrey was the fact that everything was anchored in fact and or a system. So, before and since, but less so since working with Jeffrey, it's very easy to get into meetings and just throw ideas on a wall without necessarily having a clear idea of how you're going to get there. And frankly, how you're going to measure what you believe success to be for that particular project. And I think of all the noise in having the conversations around what the structure of the organization was going to be, or how we were going to approach service delivery, the one person that was creating the North Star or our North Star and pointing, turning all of our heads to say, look, that's our North Star, was indisputably Jeffrey Kent, in the sense that he said, okay, if we're going to be this entity that is acting in support of minority entrepreneurs, we need to have certain internal targets in order to be most useful to them. Where it solved my problem, it's not really a matter of solving a problem as much as adopting a new mindset of being very clear, especially in the service sector, being very clear about what outcomes were necessary for the clients and what outcomes were necessary for the entity itself that we're working with in order for it to be sustainable. Now, what I will say as a function of that is the Item Ventures exist today, and it is the entity that I work with on a day-to-day basis. It has iterated in terms of still work with entrepreneurs, but in more of an operational capacity as opposed to fundraising. And the company does a number of other things. Actually, the entire continuum that I was doing under the nonprofit. So from, getting people to understand tech, we're training people around tech, we are placing people, and then we're also doing some business advisory work. So Jeffrey's influence on not only the solution that was devised back then, but also the solution that I continue to work on today, and quite successfully, I will add in parentheses, is largely because of the discipline and the rigor that he brought in terms of how we thought about not only the client service side of things, but also how we thought about the internal business and what metrics and KPIs we needed to follow in order to get there. Jeffrey has been an invaluable advisor to me, and he will be an invaluable advisor to anyone who takes the entrepreneurship journey seriously and is suggestible, right? Suggestible meaning is willing to take advice from someone who, frankly, has been there and done that and has a lot to say on the matter.